Hi everybody. Happy Tuesday, middle of January and the likes, nearly into February. How the time's flying when we're enjoying ourselves. It's great to be here and great to have the opportunity to be able to share some of the work that we're doing across NCG, and just have a chat really about kind of the landscape as to whereabouts we are, what we're doing, and what we're considering going forward. I recognise a couple of faces on the call, so it's great to see you in there. But as Helen rightly said before, if there are any questions or anything like that, please pop them into the chat and we can pick them up. I'm happy to hang around and answer as many as I can if I can. So the session that I've got to deliver, I've left enough time for Q&A at the end as well. But look at it, how effective prompting can enhance outcomes. I am the head of learning technology, as Helen rightly said before, for NCG, and I've been in education since 2008. So I'm a teacher by trade, starting as an hourly paid lecturer in PC maintenance back in the day on a Saturday, when we used to do Saturday courses. And I sort of wriggled my way in and around NCG, well, Newcastle College initially, and then as the last role I had within there was as head of curriculum for business. So reason why I can explain that bit is that I've wriggled around in all of the different positions in there in order to understand the job roles, the responsibilities, and I can see benefits with generative AI and AI itself in all of the roles that I had done previously. And the method of using generative AI with prompts is going to be the same throughout all. It's just a different type of question that you're going to ask. And there are some tools that are in there that we are already being developed within Microsoft Teams, and I appreciate others may be on different systems and software, but there are tools there that we can use and we've started to use in order to enhance the delivery across the board. And I just wanted to be able to share that with you. So the art of effective prompting, Microsoft AI tools in action, and I'll also touch on AI-powered creative agents as well, as this is the direction in which we're going to be going across the board, not necessarily us as a leading player in it, but certainly having a dabble in what that can look like and what we want to be able to use moving forward. I'm just going to put it out there now, and I said it the other day, and I got a laugh anyway. Any of you who are on the call who are old enough to remember paperclip in Word, I have a feeling that paperclip may come back. I don't know this, I'm just saying it, it's a prediction, as some form of AI agent embedded within Microsoft Word. So if you were sick of him then, you'll certainly be sick of him now if he does come back. But I just thought I'd put that out there, it's nicely recorded. So moving on from that, yes, well done, Yvonne. Thank you very much. I saw that coming in. Someone would remember he was called Clippy. I think you could turn him into a dog or a dinosaur and all of those sorts of things as well. But never mind, we'll leave that. That's for another day. The 4 pillars. Now, you'd have seen this. I'm sure some of you will have seen this banded around in various different guises. But goal, context, expectations, and source. It's something that throughout NCG and the colleges that are in and around the group, and for those of you aren't aware of the number that are in there, there's 7 in total. So we have Newcastle College, Newcastle Sixth Form. We have West Lancashire. We have Carlisle. We have Kidderminster, Lewisham, and Southwark across the board. So we're looking, from my role as in NCG, is to encourage those 7 colleges and work with particular people in those colleges in order to support this direction of travel. Pete Bicknell's on the call. I can see him there. He's one person who I work with very closely at Lewisham, who is driving that innovation in and throughout Lewisham as well. But keeping it simple with effective prompting. So we've got, like I said before, goal, context, expectations, and source. And every time you do that, make sure that what you're asking for is precise, has the required detail within it, because kind of the theory is rubbish in, rubbish out. So if you're able to provide a decent resource to go in, you're going to get a better answer out of it. So goal, what do you want from Copilot is what we've referenced anyway, but I appreciate there could be others. Why do you need it and who is involved? How should Copilot respond to best fulfill your request? and what information or samples do you want Copilot to use? So it's quite specific. But if you're unaware or thinking about goal, content, great, excellent, expectation, source for it, just think of GCSE. If you don't have reference to this, but goal, context, expectations, and source. Now, from an example from this is what I've used in some of the training sessions that I've delivered across NCG. The basic prompt I'll have put in here is make me a lesson plan for engineering. And I'll show you something later on, which has actually fed something back to me. So there's something called prompt. It's a prompt within the agents. It's come back next to me. It's engineering. Could mean mechanical, electrical, civil, software, etc. And there's no context in there at all. So I asked it to provide me with a brilliant prompt. So that's how I can say that it's a brilliant prompt. But create a detailed lesson plan for level 3 mechanical engineering class on the topic of introduction to CAD. I'll not read everything out as it goes, but I've color coded them at the bottom, so it's a reference. So you can go back to this if it's useful. Found it across the board with some of the sessions that I've delivered. Can see where that GCSE is being used. So create a detailed lesson plan is the goal. That's what I'm looking to achieve from this. The context is it's an introduction to CAD. So it's at least it gives me an idea because it could be anything. The source, well, is the level 3 mechanical engineering. That's where it's the qualification that it's coming from. And what's my expectation? The lesson should be, and there's a lot of other stuff in there, and you can put as much detail as you want in there. And then present the plan in a clear, structured format for easy delivery. So if you have used, the way I envisage this is that if I was having a conversation with anybody on the call and asked them as a line manager or a colleague or however, whatever, I need to give clear instructions to them in order for them to be able to provide me with exactly what I want. So there's no difference to speaking to generative AI models in the same ways that I would speak to a human. So I would be asking, I wouldn't just say, make me a lesson plan for engineering, because surely that I'll use Helen because you're obviously you're there. Helen would come back to me and go, well, on what part of engineering would you want me to do that? So there's an element of applying logic to what you're actually stating. So that's what we've been sharing, and that's what I'll continue to share moving forward, because it does seem to be kind of hitting the mark with people as well. But with generative AI, there are tools that sit within Microsoft Teams. So yes, you can use Copilot, which is great. You can design your own or craft your own prompt, seems to be a very fashionable way of saying it. So craft your own prompts, save those, use them again and again, share them with colleagues and everybody else, which is great. But there are some tools, if you haven't used them already, within Microsoft Teams that enable you to use generative AI to create resources, specific resources, in order to help your students. And they really are at the drop of a hat. So Read in Progress. It's a tool within Microsoft Teams that you can set up as part of the assessment process. And within that, you've got the ability to create AI-generated text, or you can bring in your own Word document, or you can browse a sample library just to test it out and try it out and see how it works. What it'll do is, you'll see on the image on the left-hand side, when you go into it, you go into assessment, you open it up and you select reading progress as the assessment type. You then move over and bring your text in or import it in or generate it however you wish. And you'll see that Barbara Hepworth article that's there. That's the written text that the student will then read for you. The bottom right hand is a marked reading progress. So the students, what you're able to do is the students are able to access a passage of text that you've submitted for them as part of an assignment. That student will then read that passage of text and record themselves doing so. They'll either do it with a camera on or off, but as long as the audio is on, that's the main thing. They are able to access these via mobile devices. We've trialed that as part of within our ESOL curriculum area as well as some others. But we've also looked at how the accessibility from hardware and software works. That image on the bottom right-hand corner demonstrates to me that there's you can just see it, probably 91 correct words per minute, 87% accuracy on that reading passage, and the highlights that are in there will identify various different things, but main ones such as mispronunciations, omissions, insertions as well, and any kind of repeatable words where they've repeated. You might be able to see that it's got during in that bottom right image. It's where they've duplicated as they've read that passage of text. What that gives you is the option of being able to assess or understand the level of reading progress with that particular student over a period of time. But what it can also do is if you set that assignment up as part of a class and you've got 20 in the class, you can then see what if there is a theme throughout that class with all of those students where there's an issue that they might be struggling, and then you can focus differentiated learning strategies on those particular students and any individualization in there. As part of it, and a new add-on into reading progress, the little image on the left-hand side shows that there's comprehension questions available as well. So what you can do is on that particular passage, I can ask it to generate me 3, 5, however many questions on that passage of text. And it'll show that not only will it manage the reading of it or mark it and grade it and give me some feedback, but it'll also give me feedback based on whether they understand the passage of text as well. And that's a self-marking assessment, so you don't have to go in and mark that yourselves. It'll mark it itself. So generative AI within a prompt is great. You can do everything you want in there in order to give yourself something standalone within a Word document, but please don't overlook the tools that are sitting within Microsoft Teams that might be able to help you moving forward with this. And it gives you the ability within curriculum areas to embed English within your curriculum at the drop of a hat. Also, some of the tools that are in there, and again, I'm not going into a huge amount of detail because I don't want to take up the whole session with this, but we have something there is something available called Microsoft Teach. And within Teach, what you've got are, again, generative AI tools that provide you with the functionality to create rubrics. You'll see on that left-hand side, lesson plans, flashcards, and now there's also the ability to create quizzes as well on a particular subject. So rubric, for example, we've used it as part of the world skills that we are part of. And it has been enabled us to be able to create a set rubric based on a particular process, a particular policy, and being able to grade the students and support the students through that. So what we've done in there is we've entered in the context of what it is that we're looking to grade against, and it provides that rubric for us rather than having to find a one that's done previously, update it, create a one from scratch, borrow one, whatever it is. The ability to then design a lesson plan in and around that. That could be a level 1 engineering, level 2 engineering, whatever it is, and it'll provide you with that lesson plan at the drop of a hat too. Now that for us and the examples that I've used when I've shared this with other people is it might be that you're looking at a plan in the summer for all of the classes that you're going to be delivering throughout the academic year. That's great. But what it might also help you with is anything where you're required to cover a class. And you might not have ready access to the lesson plans that have been created, but what you can do is look at whereabouts those students are and put a lesson plan together, and it'll give you some guides. And all of this is generated using AI and something which you can take into the classroom so you feel more prepared than you probably would have been before. And flashcards goes without saying, the ability to produce those for students across the board. Our Newcastle Sixth Form College, we're very keen to see what flashcards could provide for how generative AI could provide flashcards for their students, and they're starting to use that very much so to support them through their exams. So you'll see there lesson planning, content creation, and assessment design on there, and you'll get the slide deck as Helen mentioned before. Hope that's all right so far. Am I right for time, Helen? I should have clocked me time I started.
That's all right. Yeah, you do. You've got plenty of time.
Brilliant. Okay, excellent. So that's okay. And again, if there's any questions that appear, just drop them in the chat or anything, that'd be great. So just to kind of reflect on those bits. In true teacher style, I keep doing this now. Anyway, So looking at my Copilot or any form of generative AI tool, keep the prompt simple. And I know you'll have heard it 1,001 times before, and I'll keep repeating it. But gold context, expectations, and sources, or source and expectations. So you got GCSE in there. So making sure that the information that you put in has got the required detail, got the required expectation that comes out of it. What is it you're trying to achieve from using that tool? From that, then you're looking at using some of the tools that are already sat within Teams. So we're looking at Teach, but we're also looking at reading progress that's in there, where you can generate those tools, generate those resources using the generative AI tools. And then we, as I mentioned before, we touched on the likes of agents, and I'm sure a lot of people will have heard them being banded around and being the next thing. And I did drop that joke in about Clippy earlier on, but them still, it could be there. If you have access to Microsoft Copilot, you will be able to see in the menu screen on the left-hand side that there are certain tools that you've got access to, or certain agents that you've got access to. Within those, there'll be something called Idea Coach. And again, this is an amazing tool, and I don't get any payment from Microsoft for saying it, but if I didn't believe that it was a useful tool, I wouldn't be talking about it. But Idea Coach, sometimes there are those moments where you just go, I don't know what I'm going to say, what I'm going to do, what can I do with a class, what activity can I give them? I've run out of ideas. Whereas rather than, yes, you can use Copilot or any other form of generative AI, but Idea Coach will at least give me something which is a bit more structured with a kind of prompt in it. So as I put on the bottom there, it helps you spark student creativity by generating brainstorming prompts, suggested project themes, and helping learners explore topics from multiple perspectives. Perfect for writing, research, and design projects. So the example that I've put on the screen there before, in front of you there, is I'm covering a BTEC level 3 engineering class. You see, I've got a theme here about covering classes. I can still remember the days. What can I do to make this class interesting and engaging? So I'm working on the assumption that I haven't got a clue about engineering, which I don't, but I am having to go in and look after that class. Straight away, it gives me, well, it's very positive on that side, which it does have a habit of doing. That sounds like a great opportunity to make the session fun and memorable. But it does give me some options. So introducing a new concept, reinforcing it, knowledge problem solving, gives me challenges to brainstorm, gives students a real world problem, split them into small groups, and it's starting to break down every step that I need. There's more detail in there, obviously, as well as that, but it's immediately given me some ideas and some sort of thought around, right, okay, I can go into that class now with something that's available. So again, the more, and I put a very basic question in their mind as well. So if I put a little bit more context in, it will provide a much better response. Having said that, all of the GCSE and creating your prompts and being a prompt engineer and crafting your prompts and all of those sorts of things, there's also an agent that sits within Copilot that is called Prompt Coach, which I just dropped into the conversation earlier on. So this then just takes it to a whole new level. It provides you the option of being able to just put some information in and it will craft the prompt for you. So if you really are in dire need, but it's nice to understand how you craft a prompt, but if you really are in dire need, use Prompt Coach and then away you go. So you'll see with the example that I've put on here, analyze my prompt and provide feedback on how I could improve it. And it says, give me ideas for a lesson I have with a BTEC level 3 engineering student. So really, no goal, well, there's a source because it's saying BTEC level 3, but no great detail in there at all. What it's done in the image on the right-hand side, you'll see there, it's lifted my original prompt. And then it says, it's been very kind and said there's a couple of strengths in there because I mentioned the level 3s and ideas for a lesson. Other than that, it's not been, there's nothing else to pick out. But it's identified areas for improvement. And then it has provided the improved prompt right in front of me, right at the bottom. One of the key areas it's picked up is the 90-minute session. Now, I didn't put 90 minutes in. I didn't put any time in there, but it basically put some time in there because it thinks I need it in there. So I would then look at that prompt and obviously edit it to suit me, because it might only be a 60-minute lesson. But generate creative and practical lesson ideas for a 90-minute session with BTEC Level 3 engineering students on the topic, and it's even asked me now to insert the topic. So it's guiding me through that process. So if you refer to that prompt earlier on, when I was crafting it just for Copilot, that said exactly the same. So it needed to be CAD or mechanical engineering or something like that. So it's doing the same in here, and it's following its own rules. The lesson should include interactive activities, real-world applications, and opportunities for students to demonstrate understanding. Provide at least 3 structured ideas with clear objectives and required resources. Excellent. So you've got that ability to be able to do that. So if you do have moments where you need free time, where you just want to have a go at this, I do laugh when I say free time. I'm working in FE and teachers and the likes, but that element, if you can put some time aside and start to use tools such as this, it'll save you a lot of time in the long run. So that's the agent side of it. I looked at some of the practical applications that we could use this. It's never ending, but so I'm not just coming from this from an IT point of view and what it could do for us. So English and humanities, we do a lot of that across Newcastle sixth form, but writing prompts and creative scenarios, create differentiated reading passages. That's Helen and I were talking about this earlier on, and it's a real passion of mine to kind of look at the way we can amend and change reading passages, look at how students understand in a very different way. When I was still teaching, I used to teach computing, obviously, it might go without saying, but I used to teach games design and development. And within IT, and certainly within games, there was a high number of students, and historically there's a high number of students who have autism will enroll onto those courses. And so much so we had 20 autistic students in one class, because we had that many of them and we needed to try really support them all. The tools and the methodologies that I had back then were great. They were fit for purpose. We had support staff in there, but I would have wanted to support them even more. And that's the ability of being able to use generative AI to do this is just phenomenal, because I could have changed an awful lot of my content within the drop of a hat. STEM subjects, again, looking at how we could design hands-on investigation guides, explain complex concepts and analogies, excellent things that you'd want to do ordinarily, but would take you time to be able to do this. And you might never get around to doing it, or you might get it around to do it once, but then it might be an issue where I've missed it, or it's updated, or however. Assessment and feedback. Again, generating personalized feedback comments. You can start to use that, but again, if anything, I haven't mentioned anything about kind of the safety and the security aspect of it. We are a little bit cautious because of what that can entail, and that's probably for another day anyway. But it's just they're interesting times, and like I say, we've got options with that. But like I mentioned before, creating rubrics and success criteria, and you saw that in there about designing formative check-in questions. So in the comprehension part of reading progress. So I'm hoping that's been good. It feels as if I've rattled through it a little bit, but I am conscious I don't want to take up all of your time. There's other things to be discussed. But mastering of the prompt, key takeaways from us: clear, specific, contextualized. The more efficient, the more detailed the prompt, the better response that you get out of it. But leverage the embedded tools. I've just spotted there that Yvonne's popped into this, use teach and the flashcards to help with student enrichment, which is amazing. They're there. Use them, please. Be encouraged to, if needs be. And if I can help with any way, just give me a shout. Just drop me a line separately. I'm happy to help where I can. But it does. It's so understated this, but it seamlessly integrate seamlessly into our workflows, but it'll also reduce the time on those workflows as well, which is just amazing. But a really important part for me is that empowering student agency, the ability to use AI coach, prompt coach to build creativity and get skills to get the students to, or activities to build or work on things that we might never have had time to really look at, or different ways of doing an activity. So I'll leave you with what the comment that's at the bottom. Start small, experiment often, and watch as generative AI becomes an indispensable partner in your teaching toolkit.